Ladies and germs, this is Thanksgiving Eve. Happy Thanksgiving Eve. This is Blazing Takes. I am Rick Blaze. Cut your volumes up. I am joined by Corporate Siege. How we doing on Thanksgiving Eve, good brother?
Oh, we're doing great. I'm looking forward to Thanksgiving. Even though it's not my favorite food as we've gone over, I still love Thanksgiving. Just a nice, wholesome time with family, friends, whoever you may be spending it with. So, looking forward to that one. But got a Thanksgiving gift preemptively for the SimWorld community. We got our last two teams of our team previews. It's been a good time, but we're here at the end of the road, and so we'll start off today with a team without super high hope from a lot of people. Bad Boys Basketball. Now, Bad Boys Basketball, they lost Lorenzo Phenom. He was kind of the face of that team last year. There was some drama with his dad and Coach Munch Williams at one point, but they brought Coach Munch Williams back. Lorenzo's off to Michigan in SimWorld U. They still have, and here's their two guys that you got to watch for. And we all know that Samuel Boggs, widely considered, and in my head, I would agree, probably the best pure point guard, but he can also score. That's why they call him Big Shot Boggs. But probably, arguably, one of the better, if not the best, pure point guard in SimWorld Prep. Now, here's the thing about him. The question is, who is he going to be facilitating to? Well, they've got Malcolm Chamberlain back. He was a good defensive big, 6'8", 245. Didn't quite have the offensive firepower of Lorenzo Phenom, but defensively was a step above him. So they've still got him. They brought in Aiden Aho, who's 6'7", 220. Trey Greer has come in. He's a pretty good offensive guy, a guard. And they also brought in Victor Noggle. I believe that's how you say his last name, but it's an interesting last name. 6'9", 201, Owen Pride, 6'7". So there's a lot of big guys for him to be facilitating to down low, running the pick and roll with all game. They're a little lax on shooters. Aiden Aho can pop out and shoot, but one shooter they do have, and I think this is their second guy. Well, their second guy in terms of leadership, but I think he's their first guy in terms of scoring output more than likely, and that's Bo Pagnotti Jr., the centerpiece of the Pagnotti posse is what his fans call themselves. I'm expecting a big year from Bo. I'm going to be honest. I really like his game. He's kind of one of those guys that he can have his quiet nights, but when he gets going, he can light it up in a hurry. He's got decent athleticism. He's a good perimeter defender. He can shoot. He can create for himself. I kind of expect him to take over as... It's hard with this team because Boggs is the leader. Boggs is going to have the ball in his hand most of the time, but I would still call Bo Pagnotti their number one in terms of scoring output and in terms of if they need a bucket in a big moment, it's going to be between him and Boggs, but it's kind of a toss-up. It's kind of just going to depend. So there's a lot of things going on with this team, but what are your kind of thoughts going into it?
Yeah, I think you nailed it. Didn't they just sign someone like today?
They did. I believe that news actually just broke. Samuel Charles tweeted about it, I think, a few hours ago. They're adding Neo Zephyrus, the 26th ranked player in the Midwest region. Oh, and he's replacing Aiden Aho. Okay, so Aiden Aho, the 6'7", 220, who I kind of like, can pop out and shoot. He's no longer there. But Zephyrus, from what I hear, is not a bad player, not a bad asset to have. So throw him in the mix there, and it's not as bad of a team as I think some people are making them out to be.
Yeah, I think this is another one of those teams that's going to have to grind it out this season offensively. I like their team. They're gritty. I think they're going to be gritty on both sides of the court. I do love Bo Pagnotti and the Pagnotti posse. I do think this is going to be a coming out party for him. I think Boggs is still going to find a way to be somewhere up there in the assist leaders.
Yes.
Probably like 5.5 a game. This is one of those teams like a few others, whereas it's going to be more about the development of these individual players and how they progress from year to year, more than the wins and losses for the Bad Boy squad as a team. Yeah. I think both United's going to have a good year. I think Boggs will have a good year. I think one of those. I think this Zephyrus guy, I think he can have a good year too, as well. So I like Malcolm Chamberlain. Again, he's a guy you don't want to meet in the dark alley.
Nope.
He plays no games. So, you know, if they brought back the what's the name of that wrestling Nation of Domination, he would be right there next to Farouk.
Yep.
It'll be Farouk, Uh, I think who else was in there? Ahmed Johnson and Malcolm Chamberlain. That was, they will make the new nation of domination. So I think they're gonna be like again. They're gonna play Detroit basketball. They're gonna muck it up.
Yeah.
They're gonna make it ugly, and then they're gonna try to beat you up to until a pulp and to get a win. So that's how they're gonna play it. Again, I don't see them being like no no Cinderella team or anything like that. But I will say this: uh, they're gonna play every game like as if they have nothing to lose, and they don't. So if you don't come prepared, you can lose the war in the battle. Messing with bad boys basketball.
And it's interesting you said Detroit style basketball. One thing they do have, if you look at their roster, they got a lot of gritty defenders. So that
Mm-hmm.
fits right in with Detroit basketball. They're going to be a decent defensive team. But another thing you notice when you just and you shouldn't roster and stat watch too much. But if you look at the roster, what they definitely do have is they've got decent depth when it comes to big bodies. So outside of Malcolm Chamberlain, who will likely be their defensive anchor. For most of the games, and he's going to be their guy down low. They do have a lot of guys who are sizable and who you can throw at, if they're playing a Trey Hyman and you just want to get guys in there to kind of rough them up a little, be physical with them, things like that. Probably collect a few fouls on the way, but they do have some depth up there. And they don't really need the depth when it comes to guards. You've got Boggs and Pagnotti at the 1 and 2 likely. Trey Greer we're hoping he's going to be a important piece, but so they don't need that much depth there. And I think you asked this question a while ago, if there's anyone in SimWorld Prep who could touch 30 minutes a game. I'm going to be honest, Samuel Boggs might deserve to have his name on that list, because if he's not out there running this offense, I don't really know what they're going to be doing. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Boggs maybe not get up to 30, but be pretty close, because he is going to be the center focal point of this team all year long.
Agreed. I think him and Pagnotti both can probably average about 27, 28 minutes a game.
Yep.
Um, they have nothing to lose, right? So
Nothing to
this
lose.
is their final year, and I'm sure they want to make sure they're making a big impression on the SimWorld on the college level. So SimWorld U. So I can see them doing that, and I can see the coaches letting the boys go out there and just let it hang every game, man. So
Yeah.
uh, not too many, not too much frills here in Detroit. Not it never really is. But they could just go try to muck it up and try to do the best they can.
They got some stuff there. And just last thing I'll say before we
Pagnotti
move,
Posse is insane, though. The Pagnotti
Pagnotti
Posse,
Posse stand up, baby. But
they
the
are
last
insane.
thing I'll say about Bad Boys basketball, you mentioned you don't see them being a Cinderella team. I don't necessarily either. And it's interesting because this is going to be the first time we've had this big of a tournament style where every team's in there. We're going to have 32 teams in the tournament. But I'll say this. If you go off the formula people always talk about for Cinderella sleeper teams in the NCAA tournament, what they always say is you need veteran leadership and you need guards who can get hot at any time and hit big shots. Between Samuel Boggs and Bo Pagnotti, I mean, they're veterans in terms of SimWorld Prep. They've been here. Malcolm Chamberlain, a veteran, they've been here. And Boggs and Pagnotti are both guys who can hit big shots and can fill it up on any given night. So I'm not saying I see them being a Cinderella team, but I am saying they do have the formula there for it. So that's all I'll say. I'm not saying watch out for Bad Boys in the race, but I'm saying don't take them lightly.
Gotcha. Fair enough.
But so we'll move on to our final team of our team previews, and it only is fitting that we'll round it out with the reigning champions, Beasts of the East. Now, Beasts of the East, if we're being honest, not a whole lot of difference turnover in this roster. They've got a lot of the main pieces. They did lose Fareed Redmond, but Levin Cutler's still there. What I will say is Coach Drayton did a phenomenal job retooling and finding guys who were going to fit back into his his scheme and his ideology that he preaches as a coach. I like that they brought in DeMarco Graham, brought him over from the Yacht Club. He is a athletic defender at 6'10", 229, but he's quick. He's light on his feet. I really like that. And then their main guys are going to be this year, as we know, Levin Cutler, he's going to be the guy. He's the guy. He can fill it up. We saw what he did in the race last year. I think with Lorenzo Phenom gone, I would call Levin Cutler the most skilled post big man in SimWorld Prep. at least coming into the season, and
Uh-oh.
I wouldn't be surprised if nobody surpasses him in that aspect. And then you've got Isaiah James. We all know him. He's not going to fill it up on the scoreboard, but gritty defender, defensive leader, can guard. Look, they say he can guard 1 through 5 at 6'4". I'm not going to argue with it because I don't want to argue with Isaiah James. I'll tell you that. JoJo Kearney returning had that big time block on Lorenzo Phenom at the buzzer to seal that game for them when they won over Bad Boys in the race last year. And then Kasim Porter Jr., newcomer of the year last year, has stated outwardly he wants to model his game after Rajon Rondo and be kind of that pure point guard. But let's talk about this kid they brought in. And I know you know who I'm talking about already, but Losi Thomas. Wait, just tell us about Losi.
Flat out score. They brought two guys in, Monty Parsons and Losi Thomas. Oh, I'm sorry, Monty Parsons. Wait, hold on. I'm sorry, Monty Parsons with Philadelphia, huh? I'm just trading players to different. I'm just putting players on different teams.
Just
My
get him out
apologies.
there.
Losi Thomas is the shooter that they needed. He's not Redmond, but he can fill it up. And the
Yep.
fact that Coach Drayton was able to get Losi Thomas and everyone, it's coaches listen up. I want all the SimWorld coaches to listen up. If you want to know how about going about your business as far as recruiting and getting the right players to fit the right system for your system, look no further than what Coach Drayton does.
Yep.
He has figured out a way to maintain what he already had and build upon what was leaving or what he was missing. This team is stacked from top to bottom. There are no glaring holes. You know how high I am on KPJ. Uh, I think this team. I'll be shocked if this team is not in the Final Four of Race to One when it's all said and done.
Yeah, and it's interesting because everyone's putting them at, they're at the top of the power rankings, maybe not number one, but they're towards the top in every power rankings. And people are saying, well, you got to think of them as contenders in the team to beat because they won last year. I don't think it is just because they won last year. You look at this roster and look, all respect to Fareed Redmond, one of my favorite players last year. You can't really replace that. But if you look top to bottom at this roster, they might have a better roster than they did last year. And Coach Drayton's not coming in the middle of the year. He's got a full off season with them. There won't be as much figuring it out in the season, playing around with rotations and stuff. There will be some because it's Coach Drayton, but I really like what they've got going on. They brought in Kyrie Brown too with Losi Thomas. He's another guy who can shoot the lights out. And no, is Losi Thomas Fareed Redmond? Probably not. It's hard to compare him to him. That's a McDonald's All-American. He was that guy. But Losi Thomas could fill a lot of what Fareed Redmond did. So I'm excited for that. And then haven't even mentioned Leonidas Wright is back. He's a great defender, good slasher. I mean, like you said, top to bottom, this roster is one of the best in SimWorld Prep. And maybe not from a flashy big name standpoint, but if you really look at it and you've seen these players tape, you know that there are no glaring holes, just like you said. So like you said, I'd be surprised to see them not in the Final Four.
Yeah.
And they're contenders and the team to beat, not just because they won it last year, but because they might have gotten better as a team.
100%. I think as a team they did get better. Again, they don't have a career of Fareed Redmond, but they got better as a team overall. Again, top to bottom, Coach Drayton can go 8, 9, maybe even 10 deep on his roster in this game. I wouldn't be surprised if all 10 guys got some burn this season. It's just that deep. When I'm trying to find good luck if I'm the opposite team. That's why I gotta say good luck because this team is going to be very difficult to beat, and they're going to be even more so harder to get out coached. And I think that's going to be the silver lining for why teams that may have a shot on any given night against Beast of the East, a lot of them, unfortunately, is probably going to get out coached when it's needed most in the fourth quarter.
Yep.
They also make
couldn't agree
them
more.
such a scary team, such a complete team, because not only do they have the players who can play and get the job done, but they have the coach who's savvy enough to make changes and not afraid to make daring changes. Now, you just heard him say, about Isaiah James playing 1 through 5. Now, I wouldn't, now, if I'm the opposite team and you put Isaiah James on my 4 or 5, I'm thinking barbecue chicken.
Yep.
Like, his 6'4" frame gonna have to show me. I'm from Show Me, Texas. Ain't no way in the world. I'm thinking, boy, give me some offensive fouls, give me some charges. I need one good elbow into his temple to go ahead and lay that boy down. Let him know, hey, little man, stay in the little man's place. That's just what I believe. I don't encourage nothing physical. I don't encourage no damage, no harm. That is not. We do not condone that at SimWorld. But all I'm saying, if I'm 6'10" and he's 6'4", hello knees, how's your face?
But that's the crazy
That's all
thing,
I'm saying.
Rick. Whether you believe Isaiah James can guard the 4 or 5 or not, he's never gonna have to. Because you look at the bigs they got. I mean, they brought back JoJo Kearney and Levin Cutler. JoJo Kearney's a defensive stalwart, and then they added DeMarco Graham, a 6'10" defender who's athletic.
Yep.
Like they've got depth at that position now that they really had a little bit of last year with JoJo, but now they've got JoJo and DeMarco Graham. So it's defensively, this team is going to be a nightmare. But we could talk about how good this team is all day long. But fortunately for you guys, that's it. That's our team preview finish. Hope you enjoyed it. We are going to be taking a Thanksgiving break. Everyone can spend time with their families, friends, because I know that if we put something out, you guys are going to have to tune in there at the table because you can't miss BLAZIN Takes. So we're going to do you guys a favor and take Thanksgiving off.
Right.
We'll be back on Friday. Rick, what do you got for the people?
Hey, man, look, I just want to say really quick, I say what I always say, make sure you smash the like button. But I also want to say Thanksgiving dinner time is not the time to try out some new recipe that you have not tried out before. This is not the time to bring a dish that you're going to just decide what you're going to do. Big Mama been holding it down for umpteen years. Please don't tell Big Mama to take the day off so that you can help out. If you want to help out, get your ass to the kitchen and do them dishes. I'm out.